Hello, Keith here. Welcome to Tobruk Tuesday. Today, I'm just going to go over some of the rules for the first scenario of Avalon's Hills Tobruk. Tobruk, I believe, first came out in the mid-70s, and it was one of the first games I actually started playing. It was the predecessor, in a certain sense, of Squad Leader and Advanced Squad Leader. And it also has something called Advanced Tobruk System today, and it's built up a lot. So we're going to start today. We're going to start with the main screen right here. All right, and then I'm going to go over some of the charts. So this particular scenario, if you take a look right here, all right, it's tank versus tank. And in this area right here, all right, I already started it. But in this area right here that I'm drawing right now, you have the British. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit difficult to see the colors, to see this tan and to see this gray. So you're just gonna have to be careful of that. So the British are right here. All right, they have Grants. Grants can fire forward, and they have a turret. Turret can fire in all directions. They have another smaller weapon which can fire in this arc right here. All right, so they have a turret that can fire 360, and they have a second gun which can fire in this arc right here. All right, and that is the Grant. Now they're going to be facing the Germans right here. The Germans are going to be attacking them. All right, let's do that. So they're facing the line of Germans. All right, and this is I think this is the second turn. So here are all the Germans, and here are all the British, and the Germans. So the Germans are going to come on. They're going to come like this, and some of these guys are going to either go like this, or I might even try to sneak some back here. All right. Remember the Grants. These are Grand tanks. The Grants can fire in two different directions. They can fire they have a gun that can fire 360. They also have a gun that can fire at that arc from about 12 o'clock to about the 2 o'clock position. All right. So the Grants there are more German tanks. The Germans actually have Panzer IIIs. They have two Panzer IVs. But the British also have two weapons too. So, and the whole point of this is just to get points, more points than your opponent. So it's fairly straightforward. It's made as an introductory scenario. So now we're going to take a look at some of the charts. So right here is the probability. This is the probability to hit chart. So if you look right here, all right. So if you look on the AFV column, the British have the Grand tank. The Grand tank is the second one in the far left, and the next column says crew, 6 crew, but we're not going to use that for this game. Gun. You notice the Grant has those two guns, the 75mm or 75mm M2. That's the weapon that can fire 360. The 37mm M6, that's the weapon that can fire from about the 12 to the 2 o'clock position. We're only going to use armor-piercing ammunition in this scenario. And rate of fire. When you first fire at a target, you use the iron initial rating. So the 75mm has one shot in the initial phase, and the 37mm actually has 2 shots the first phase. But once a target is acquired, you change. So once a target is acquired for the Grant, that main gun can fire 3 shots, and that secondary gun can fire 6 shots. So they can have 9 shots. And that right there is where you get there's a lot of dice rolling in Tobruk. But I actually like it. So as we go down here, if you look down to the right, you'll see the numbers to hit. This number or lower, okay, so the numbers up top are the range The numbers in red are the range, and the numbers in black are the number you need. With 2 dice, you need to roll that or less to get a hit. The only modifiers are moving. Moving adds 1 to the dice roll to makes it a little bit more difficult to hit. So let's go to the next track. Let's go to the next chart, which is the German hit probability chart. Open up that. Close that. All right, so here's the German-Italian hit probability chart. Now, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, just open this up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So if you look in that upper right-hand corner there, we have the Panzer IIIHs. We have 2 of those for the Germans, and the Germans have 2. Germans have quite a few. The Germans actually have more H's, so I think they have like 13 Panzer IIIHs. They have 2 Panzer IIIJs, and they have 2 Panzer IVs. You look at their numbers. The Panzer H's and the Panzer J's. Panzer H's has a short barrel. The Panzer J's has a long barrel, 50 millimeters. Naturally, the longer the barrel, the more accurate you are at longer range. And the Panzer IVe has a regular, but they only have 2 of them, but they have a regular 75 millimeter weapon. Now the Grants have, I can tell you, the Grants do have strong armor. So you look at rate of fire. So for the Panzer IIIs, the initial rate of fire is 2, and the Panzer IV initial rate of fire is 1 because it has a bigger gun. The Panzer IIIHs, they have, once they have a quieter target, they have a rate of fire of 4, and the Panzer IVs have a rate of fire of 3. So there's not a huge difference in the rates of fire between the Panzer IIIs and the Panzer IVs. If you look over to the right, you can see that the Panzer IVs have a very, very limited range. The 50 millimeter short has a longer range than the 75 millimeter short, and the 50 millimeter long has the longest range. The Germans actually have a range advantage in this game that they can take advantage of. So if you get a hit, you have to roll less than the hit number. If you get a hit, you have to see what happens. Now, this right here, let's click that and that and that. Just want to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so this right here, once a vehicle is hit, you look on this chart right here. All right. So you look on the aspect that you're firing. So if you're coming through the front hex, then you're going to use the die roll on the front. If you're coming from the 2 side, one of the 4 side hexes, you'll use the flank. If you're coming from the rear, you use the rear, and that shows you what aspect of the vehicle you're doing. You count from the attacking vehicle to the vehicle that's being attacked, and if it's a draw and it's the same distance between the front and the flank, then it's a front shot. If it's a rear shot, or if it's between rear and flank, if the vehicle is moving, you're going to get I believe a flank shot. Otherwise, you're going to get a rear shot. So you roll the dice, and you see where it hits. Then you see what part. Now, if it's a straight line, that means it's not hit. But if it's any of these words, letters right there, any of the letters, then you hit actually the vehicle. Now, you cross-index the weapon firing. Let's say we cross-index the 55 millimeter short, and UH stands for upper hull, LH stands for lower hull, turret stands for turret, and same thing for flank. Rear, you have only have hull and turret, and R, and then if you go over a little bit, you'll see the rear facing, and that's if you have a rear shot, and G, which is a gun hit, and TR, which is a track. So the whole point in this game is to, and I can briefly go over the German hits. All right, I'm just going to go over one of the German hits just so you get a feel for it. So let's go. So the next vehicle is the Panzer H, and over here you see upper hull, lower hull, turret, and GM. Upper hull, lower hull, turret, and you have that H there. That H there is hull, the rear, and that's turret, and that's if it's in the rear. And R is I think it's rear, I'm not sure. G, and then you have TR for the track. I have to see what R is, but you only get that if you roll a 12. Could be something like a critical hit. Now the whole point of the game is to get points. If you take out the tracks of a vehicle, you get 1 point. You take out the weapon, you get 2 points, I believe. I'm going to look that up. And the one with the most points in the end wins. If you take out both the turret and the tracks, you get 3 points. The Grant, I'm not sure if you get bonus points for taking out both turrets. So that's a good question. That's something I'm going to check in on. All right, so that's the charts right there. So now we go to the movement phase. All right, so the Grants can move 3, and these vehicles can move 3. So you can either fire or you can move, but you can't do both. When you move, you can move forward and you can do a turn. Turns are free, but in order to do a turn, but you can't do a turn in the last space you moved into unless you spend a point. So these all move at a rate of 3. You can back up, but it costs all your movement points. You can go directly in the place directly behind you. You can turn and go back to the right. Let's do one of those. Let's rotate and might go right there. We can do that. Or you can rotate in the other direction. Rotate clockwise. Rotate clockwise. Open bracket. Open bracket. Okay, and then you'll go backwards. So you can also move like that. And that facing is kind of bad because you have to face one of the vehicles at all times have to face one of the hex sides. So I'm going to rotate it back. Okay. I believe I already played the first 2 turns of this game. So what you're going to see is you're going to see these vehicles coming in. And another thing too, one nice thing about this is you can also mark the target. You know, so it'll show right on. So if you see right there, it shows it right on the thing what you've targeted. And I'm also going to give all these vehicles names. I'm just going to go from A all the way down to double Z. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to clear all my markings. Let's see. Set target. Back. Okay. Back. Okay. So I moved set target. All right, and that's pretty much it. Tobruk has a graded system of learning the game, which is good. So once again, I'll show you what's going to happen tomorrow or whenever I play this. This is the first scenario. You have the Grants here. They have really good armor. They can fire forward, and they have a second gun that can fire from the 12 o'clock to the 1 o'clock position. And you also have, and these are the Germans. They have a Panzer IV and another Panzer IV here. Those guys have really powerful weapons, but they have to get up close, so they're going to go ahead. Probably the rest of the Germans are going to stand back a little bit and try to take advantage of their range. And the vehicles on the left, I think I'm going to try to send some around to get a total flanking to get behind. The other vehicles are going to try to flank on the Grant's right. So it'll be interesting tomorrow. So let's go back to this transition. All right, so that's it for the little introduction to Tobruk and the scenario we're playing. I'm going to try to get this done tonight at 7 o'clock, If not, might be Wednesday, but I want to make Tobruk Tuesday a regular thing. And I want to go gradually through the various scenarios. Like I said before, I have play an actual game. I'm going to create like a 5-minute tutorial, which I'll post on YouTube. I'm probably going to be streaming my games on YouTube live, and then I just keep a copy of it on Vassal, VASSAL Live. Alright, that's it for today from Keith and from Vassal Live. I want everybody out there to have a great day, and I will see you later. Keep gaming.